Okay, Carrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, are you back?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody got anything going for you?
Well, hey, this is Brian. I've known Kerry for about 7 years, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say that I finally got what he was saying. For a long time, Kerry's told me that the Title 26 was over 3,000 pages long. You only had to know a few of those pages, and that's because the IRS says on page 105 of the 1040 instruction booklet that our legal right to ask for information is Internal Revenue Code Section 6001, 6011, and 6012A and their regulations. So I guess dawn finally broke on Marblehead. I was so excited I had to call Kerry while I was driving home in horrible traffic in Houston.
Well, I had another guy call me yesterday, and he got it too. He finally got it. So once you understand it and get it, it's a marvelous thing. Thank you for sharing that.
Anybody
okay.
else?
Yeah. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? Okay. There's somebody who needs to mute. Somebody needs to mute out, please. I hear some. It's in the background because it's
It's not
we're gonna do something completely different tonight. We're gonna shift gears and talk about something completely different. We're gonna talk about jurisdiction. And we're gonna back up a little bit. We're going to kind of explain what we do, why we do it, and then we're going to get into some other activities. The first thing we do is we go to the tax court. With the tax court forms, we fill it out, and if you get an email from Ed, they're in there. It says John Doe. You fill them out just like they say. You mail them to the tax court with $60. What that will get you is the commissioner, through the DOJ's attorneys, will say that they never gave you a notice of a statutory notice of deficiency and a statutory notice of determination. We say that because we don't have common law, we have statutory law. The problem is the way it's worded, they have to give you one. If they don't give you one, then they can do nothing to you. The problem is they can't give you one because of what they're doing and how they're doing it. Now, then you go to the tax court, and the tax attorneys, the attorney for the commissioner will tell the court they didn't do it, and then the court will give you an order that says that the IRS does not have jurisdiction in whatever years you put down. You can go back from 2000 to 2020. That means you're cleared up. Now, what that does for us is it gives us an argument we can argue. You can't really argue an argument that doesn't exist. So what we're trying to do is get away from the old argument and start arguing an argument you can win. Now, once you get your paperwork then you can go and get pretty much anything you want. If you're on Social Security and they're taking your check using the court order, we have a process to let you go and get your Social Security released. We have if they've got a levy on you, we can, and they're taking your retirement, we can get that. If they're taking your military pay, we can get that reinstated. There is a way to go and use all of that to get all the money they've ever taken, but that's a little more complicated and it takes a little bit more time. So, and this isn't really the forum for us to talk about that. Now, we had a lady call me today. She got in the mail, she got her document. She went in front of the judge because she had a hearing with the IRS, and the judge released. First thing they did was they said that it was dismissed, as the court said. Number two, they don't have jurisdiction. And number three, the deficiency did not exist. So the deficiency was around between 45 and 65,000, something like that. So that went away all in one foul swoop, just by having the court order that she went into it, and we applied it, and so to say the least, we have a victory there. Now, if you think about it, I'm going to ask you a question. There's two kinds of jurisdictions. There's in rem, which is subject matter, and in personam, which is personal jurisdiction. I want you to think about that question, and if you will, come on, hit *6 and tell me which one's the most important for the court to have in order to get a conviction, whether it's a speeding ticket or it's whatever it is. It doesn't make any difference. If you can come on, hit *6 and tell me which one's the most important.
Both of them.
Both of them. Okay, so if they're both important, you are correct. You have to have both. Which one is impossible? That absolutely cannot get, that the court cannot get. Do you know which one it is? They cannot get it under any circumstance.
In personam.
That is correct. And the reason for it, we have a Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights says we have inalienable rights. Another way to say that is unalienable rights. Well, the IRS or the courts try to lien your rights. They can't. That means they can't, period. So they can't get in personam. The reason you have to have an attorney, so the attorney thinks that you have, will think that you have given your jurisdiction up, and so that way you end up giving them what it is they want. The other problem that we're having is, I do not use affidavits under any circumstance. And the reason I use no affidavits because you have to make a declaration. I blank. Then you have to make a declaration. I'm over 18. Well, you're over 18 compared to what? Well, 18 what? 18 centuries? See, there's too many variables. So what happens is I don't use affidavits. So by not using affidavits, they cannot use the affidavit against me, and I don't have to understand law, or any of that. So I don't use affidavits. Now, does anybody have a question? Because remember, I'm just one guy out here trying my best to help you do a thinking process that's it's skewered from what they're doing. We have been extremely successful. We have gone to the tax court probably 8, 9, or 10,000 times, and we're so far right at 100% of getting our tax court order and being able to take that order, if you follow directions, and have your checks reimbursed. We have people that have become exempt again. They haven't been exempt in a long time. They're able to, by using it on their company. We got to approach the company with kid gloves so that you don't get fired. So we're able to get you exempt again. There's a whole lot of things you're able to do with it because we have a court order. Now, does anybody have a question? Because I'm outside the box an awful long ways. I'm outside of the box an awful long way. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, please call, hit *6 and ask the question, so we can get you in the same ball game that we're in. Does anybody have a question?
What would you use other than an affidavit to get your point across?
Okay, let me show you what I would use. Do you mind if I show it to you?
No, that'd be fine.
All right. Where do you live?
I live in my body. If you're talking about me
See,
personally.
there's a problem. See, I'm going to back you into the corner, and then I'm going to beat your brains out, and then the judge is going to say to you, that's irrelevant in this case. Then we're going to say, well, he's corrupt. See, it's not about me. See, you're bringing you into it. It's not about you. That's what I make it. So I'll ask again, and then I'm going to have you ask me the same thing. Where do you live?
You'll have to define you and live for me to give you a good answer.
Okay, see, that was better. Do you see that was better? Okay? Now, see, what I try to do is I try to never bring me into it. The other problem that we have is we use a lot of adjectives and adverbs. I, they, them, these, those, who, and things like that. So I got up, went to that, picked up this, took it to them, and they ate this. So what did I do? You ain't got a clue. That's what we're doing right there. See? And so what I do is I got up this morning, I went to the 7-Eleven on the corner of 1st and Main. I picked up a gallon of milk. I brought that gallon of milk back to my house. I ate a bowl of cereal and put the milk on the cereal. There's no question what I did, and that's how I do it. Now, the guy that asked me that, have you heard me talk before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so you know that the language is perverted. You know that the language is bastardized. Because of that, that's what I use to my advantage, okay? Because what I do is I use to my advantage anything and everything that I can. See what I'm saying? So what I would do is, let me give you an example. I'm working with a guy, and he got a ticket. We went to the court, and they asked us to plea. We pled innocent until proven guilty. I can already hear you saying, well, we couldn't do that. That's correct. The judge says we don't have that here. We have guilty, not guilty, and nolo contendere. I said, okay, that makes perfect sense. I'm going to plea a 48-year-old Chinese woman, and I sat down. He said, you can't do that. You're not that. Oh, but I'm not that either. So I thought you said I could plea anything I wanted. You said I have to plea what I'm not. I'm not a 48-year-old Chinese woman, but I'm also not guilty, not innocent. I mean, no contender, and I'm not guilty. So I'm not that either. We got a problem. If I'm not what you said I have to be, then I'm going to plea what I'm not. The judge looked at me like I was off my rocker. So then I asked him, I said, so if I can't plead innocent until proven guilty, if I get into trouble and I can't answer the question, can I say I plead the fifth? He said, absolutely. I said, okay, then I object. I'm going to appeal on the grounds. Innocent until proven guilty is the Bill of Rights. the Fifth Amendment, which says I don't want to incriminate myself. That's the Bill of Rights. You just said I couldn't use the Bill of Rights, but I can use the Bill of Rights. I can't plea what I'm not, but yet I can plea what I'm not. I can't plea what I am. I'm confused, and I just sit down. Now I've got the advantage. Now, do you understand why when you go to court you cannot, if you understand this stuff, you can build a really good defense. Do you know why you cannot plead innocent to proven guilty? Do you know why you can't?
I could guess and say that it's inequity and we're not under common law, but that'd be a guess.
No, that would be a guess and it would be incorrect. Again, I'm not telling you we shouldn't be there. Now, here's where the problem comes. You cannot prove a negative. If you're innocent, they have to prove you're guilty. They can't do that. That's impossible. Because even if it's an eyewitness, if they bring in 5 eyewitnesses, all 5 of them are going to tell them a different story because they're on a different angle. I got them. So, by you saying not guilty, you cannot prove your innocence. That's a negative. You cannot prove a negative. So by going in there saying that I'm not guilty, you now have the burden of proof. See, the Constitution says they have the burden of proof. That's why they come in and you have to say I'm not guilty. So what happens with me every time I do this, the judge says, "Well, I'm going to put in a plea for you." I basically say, well, I'm going to object. He said, "Why?" I said, "Well, you weren't there. You'd be a third party." He says, "Well, I'm going to put in the not guilty plea because it's the same thing." I said, "Oh, okay, then you go ahead and do it." So the judge from the bench says, "I'm going to put in a not," the client, he uses my name, "I'm going to put in there not guilty." I stand up. I start packing my stuff. He said, "What's going on?" "I'm leaving." "An innocent man. You just said I was innocent. You just said I was innocent. Therefore, an innocent man doesn't have to be in court." I pack my stuff and I head to the back of the courthouse. He stands there and looks at me. They don't know what to do now because I'm outside of what they're used to hearing. See, they're used to hearing, "Well, I'm going to plea. I'm a sovereign. I'm a sentient. I'm a non-binding, blood-breathing, air-breathing, whatever." See, they're used to that. I'm so far off of that. They don't know what to do. So, so what I do is I always ask questions. See, the judge said I can't do that. Well, how come? Well, you can be this. Well, I'm not that. So if I'm not that, I'm going to go ahead and plead that I'm a 48-year-old Chinese woman. Well, you're not that. See, now I've got, well, wait a minute. You said I couldn't be that. Now I'm confused. See, I constantly bombard them with stuff that's so ridiculous they can't get their arms around it. It's like going to the IRS and telling them that I don't have to file a 1040 because there's no law saying I don't have to. See, that is not going to take you anywhere. That's not going to work. The best thing we can do is use statutes in a statutory court, because now I make them prove the negative. Does that help you at all?
Yes, that was a great answer. I mean, that was a good answer. Now, you said you're innocent, so you really weren't using a statute, though, were you? You're using the Constitution in their statutory court. No, but see, they won't let that go through because that's not a statute. You have to be not guilty, or novo contendere, because that's the statute. See, I'm trying to bring in... And then the judge... There. Go ahead. Right. Go ahead. Stop. He won't let that... That's right. He won't let that come in because, see, now they have to prove... See, so what happens is I don't use the affidavit. That's how I do it. Now, so you basically let him convert it to not guilty for you is what you're kind of going. That's correct. That's correct. And see, I do everything that way. I don't tell him anything. I ask.
I'm constantly asking what it is. They'll ask me a question. See? And I always make
that was excellent.
See, and what this does is it always puts me on offense. Okay? I don't play defense. So, since I never played defense...
When you pled the fifth, that was perfect. I mean, that's really some slick maneuvering.
What that does, see, he said I could plead the fifth, but I can't plead innocent to proven guilty. They're both. So, in other words, I can use it, now I can't. I'm confused. I have to appeal this, and I'm going to appeal it on the fact that you said I can't be what I am, but I can be what I'm not, but yet when I tell you I'm not what I'm not, I'm confused. See, before they're done, they're running around. Yeah, they run around the thing. Now, have you heard me talk before?
Yes, I've talked with you, and I've heard you talk a few times.
Okay. See, what I try to do is I never try to put myself into it. You never heard me say I'm not, I am, or, and the reason for it is because I don't want any of the burden. Doesn't that make sense? The other thing that I do in Texas, I'm from Texas, the other thing that I do in Texas is if I get a traffic ticket, and that could be running a stop sign, running a red light, driver with no driver's license, speeding, spilling, trash comes out of the back of my truck, whatever. When I get to the court, I'll ask the court, does this court have jurisdiction? 100% of the time, the judge says, yes, it does. And then I'll say, wow, thank you. Can I see it? What do you think he says?
Probably points to a gun or something similar. I don't know.
He says no. I said, okay, since you have it, I believe you. I hold up the ticket and I say, this is a traffic ticket. So you said you had jurisdiction. The only jurisdiction then you would have then, this must be a traffic code court. Is that a fair statement? And then I shut my mouth. If he says no, well, then I'm going to appeal because I have a traffic ticket and I'm not in a traffic code court. And he said he had jurisdiction. Now, again, see, he's in my loop. I'm going to run him around the courtroom. So the question is, if I have a traffic ticket, this court has jurisdiction, then there has to be a traffic code court. There's no other thing it can be. It can't be a family court. It can't be federal court. It can't be criminal court. It has to be traffic code court. Now I've got them right where I want them because in the Texas traffic code, our traffic code is 541. And I'm doing this from memory, but 541.201 says the transportation code is for commercial use only. He just told me he had jurisdiction. I have a traffic ticket. That's why these statutes, man, I love them. I absolutely love them. So now I've got right where I want them. I've got them because they're now on defense. Well, no, what we meant was, you said you had jurisdiction. You said I couldn't see it. The law says I can see it. You said I couldn't. So the judge said, man, I'm confused. I'm going to have to. So when I go ahead and appeal it, I'm going to appeal it on the grounds. I asked the judge if he had jurisdiction. He said yes. I have a traffic ticket. So it has to be a traffic code court. He said yes. And most of the time the judge says, well, yeah. Because he's never been asked that before. Well, yeah. He said he was a traffic code court. According to the traffic code under 541.201, it states this is for commercial use only. I drive an F-150. An F-150 is not a commercial vehicle because I can only put 1,000 pounds in it. That's all that is a bed or a table. My truck's not big enough to be commercial. Now, man, I can run them around the room. See, and see what happens. What happens is they're not getting the argument from me that they were expecting. So what I try to do is I try to always get them off guard. Does that make sense for you?
Yes, it does. You're very good at it.
Well, I don't know if, but what it is, it has to do with the words, what they've done with the words in the legalese. See, the legalese is what hurts them. That's what cuts their throat. Because what I did when I started this back in 1985, I think, I had a friend of mine that he's been doing it for a long time. And what he did, that was before I had the internet, but I had a fax machine. He would handwrite 10 words on a sheet of paper and fax it to me. I bought a Black's Law Dictionary, and I handwrote the definitions. I would fax it back. He would fax me it back. I'd sit down there and I'd handwrite the definitions. By doing that, I understand the words are so off-centered, you can't tell whether they're saying cow or horse. You don't know that. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. That's your glossary page is really helpful.
Okay, now I want to ask you some questions. If I eat eggs, and I eat them every morning, would you call me an egg eater?
You called yourself an egg eater.
Okay, I'm asking you now. I eat eggs every morning. If I eat eggs every morning, would I be called? Could you?
I would take your word for it that you eat eggs.
I know, but I do eat eggs every morning. Could I consider myself an egg eater? I can stand here all night. See, they're in court. They're not going to give you that much less. Okay,
right, you
great.
can consider it, but I can't say it for you.
Okay. Do you see where I'm going with this? Okay. Could I be considered a chicken eater? Okay. If I eat shrimp, could I be called a shrimp eater?
I'd take your word for it. It's about my answer.
Okay. If I eat vegetarian, what could I be considered a vegetarian?
By your testimony.
Okay. So, see, you said so according to you, my testimony is that I'm a vegetarian. Go back to when I told the judge that I was a 48-year-old Chinese lady. Okay, cows are considered vegetarians. If I eat beef, I'm a vegetarian by their own admittance. I back it. See, that's how I do everything. Now, I got them they're running around the courtroom. So I'm confused, Your Honor. I got this ticket for what? Do you see what I've done? I've taken their language that they've bastardized, and I bastardized it even farther and even more. It's more absurd than ever before. See?
And you're
so
right. You're right the way you're saying it too, but hard to keep up,
Now, you've heard me before. Can you imagine in court what happens? This is what
I want to be there. I just want to be there and listen.
Well,
I think it'd be fun.
Well, do you understand what I'm trying to do? What I'm trying to show you is an argument. Now, here's the argument that I've heard before. Do you file a 1040? No. Why not? Well, there's no law that says I have to. Well, the 1040 doesn't have the proper OMB number on it. Title 26 has never been enacted into positive law. Every one of those you couldn't win if you wanted to. See, so you're giving the judge a gift when you argue that argument. I come out with an argument that doesn't make sense, but it makes so little sense. That's what they're saying. So I take what they say and I ramp it up. See? Now, I'm getting off topic a little bit, but I'm just trying to show you how I tie this together. I got pulled over, and the police officer comes over to my truck, and I popped the window down about an inch. He says, "Could you roll the window down?" "No, sir, I can't." "What do you mean you can't?" "What do you mean? What do I mean? I can't." He says, can you get out of your truck? No, sir, I can't. So he's standing there and says, why not? Well, the government you work for says guns kill people. I'm a people. You're carrying a gun. Take your gun, put it in your cruiser, come back, and I'll get out of my truck. I'm scared for my life. He goes, he walks back to his cruiser, and I seen him pick up the microphone. He walks back up there and says, would you do me a favor? Yes, sir, I will. Just slow down. I said, sure, I'll do that. No problem. And he never gave me a ticket. Because, see, I've heard the government say, guns, we have to get them, we have to take them out of people's hands because guns kill people. Well, he's got a gun. He admitted he had one. He admitted the government he works for says they kill people. I'm a people. What if I get out of my truck and it goes off and kills me? I don't deserve to die today. Doesn't, see, that makes no sense at all, does it? But yet, they can't argue this argument. So when I got yeah.
I think I see what you're doing here. You're taking their like, oh, you're going to kill the children. You know, you overemphasize safety. You know, or you question their, you know, what they're doing, and you know, because that's what they do. That's so successfully. I think that's what you're doing.
Now, okay, now we're in court where they call the police up. He gets on the thing. He swears in. They swear him in. The prosecuting attorney says you can't ask him any questions about law. I said, that's more than fair. So I asked the cop. I said, now, would you agree, since I can't ask you any law questions, would you agree that your profession is you are in law enforcement? He looks at the prosecuting attorney. She says, you can answer that. He says, yes, I'm in law enforcement. I said, wow, I want to thank you. I said, I'm a coward. You know, I don't like to go out there at night and put my life on the line to protect people. And, man, thank you for that. I am so excited. But can you answer one question for me? What law do you enforce? Now, you see what just happened? He looks at the prosecutor and says, don't answer that. I object, Your Honor. He said he was in law enforcement, so surely he knows what law he enforces. So then I can only assume he's enforcing the supreme law of the land. I can only assume that. I can only assume he's, if I'm wrong, you tell me. Because now they're all silent. Okay, here's what we're going to do. Because of your silence, here's what we're going to do. And then I just go through it. He enforces the law in the supreme law of the land. He enforces the law of the state of Texas. He enforces the law in the county of Tarrant. He enforces the law by the. See, I'm going through. Whoa! Stop! He's not a. Well, then he hasn't told me, so I can only assume. See, now I got him again. It doesn't matter how I go at it. See, every time I ask them a question, they don't know what to do. So in most cases, when I show up, the judge just pulls me aside and says, your case has been dismissed. It's because it makes the court look ridiculous. Does that help at all?
Yes, it helped me.
Okay, does anybody have any questions? So what we're going to do, if you don't have any questions, we're going to get back to the Internal Revenue Service and try to explain to you they're doing the same thing. Okay? They all do exactly the same thing. There's no difference in any of them. Whether it's county, and see, so what we're trying to do is we're trying to get them to admit, or we're trying to say, well, I'm a legal entity. I'm a person. I'm a. When you do that, you're taking on all the responsibility on yourself. So what I try to do is do exactly the opposite. I try to do exactly the opposite. I take no responsibility for anything that happened. So what I do is I argue on offense. And because I'm on offense, they don't understand what's happening. So because I'm on offense, that's what happens to them. Does that help you? Now, yes.
Because they'll ask you, are you going to represent yourself? So you're pro se. Pro se means you're a professional.
No, sir. No, sir. I'm not pro se. I'm improper persona. I'm pro per. Pro per says I'm representing myself, but not as a lawyer. You need to understand that. There's that word again. Pro se says you're representing yourself as an attorney. Pro per says you're representing yourself without counsel. So I never use that word. See, I never use that word. I always say I'm improper. I'm improper. Improper. Anyway, if you look it up, you'll see. Look up pro se and then pro per in Black's Law Dictionary, and what it does is it's a definite. There's a definite difference in them. See. Now, the guy that just asked that question, let me show you what the differences are. Can you tell me what color a banana is? Okay, by your silence, I'm going to go ahead and put you in prison. I'm going to put you in jail for 120 days in a county lockup because I asked you a question and you refused to answer it. Hello? Hello? See, now you're done. See, you're done.
Yep.
So what color is a banana, guy? What color is a banana?
It depends on what stage you're right.
But see, what they're going to do. See, you can't do that right there. That's what you can't do. See, what I would say every time they ask me what color is a banana, I say it's green. See, it's green. No, they're yellow. Oh, you didn't say if I could eat it or not. See? Oh, they're brown. Doesn't that... See? I use everything they say, and I do what they do. See?
Twist it.
Without knowing what they're saying, and that's where they get us. See? So don't take it. Don't take that I'm chewing you because I'm not. Okay? Don't take it that way, please. Because that's not what I mean. Did that make sense for you?
Yes, it does. You don't answer them a straight answer. You gotta come up with something that they're not going to anticipate.
Correct. So let me ask you a question. Okay, what color is an orange shirt?
Ooh, that's a...
Okay, ask me the same question, and I'm going to show you how I do everything. Ask me the same question.
Gary, what color is an orange shirt?
Thank you for asking. To whom? Okay, Your Honor, I want that struck from the record because they asked a question and they don't understand the question because I answered the question and they went silent. Strike it from the record. When I was indicted, they asked me questions for 9.5 hours. They asked about 750 questions. That's exactly how I did it every time. When they would stand and they would look at me, I would say to the judge, Judge, I want that stricken from the record. They asked me a question, I answered it, and they don't even know what they're asking. He'd look over and say, strike it from the record. So the lady that was typing, she struck it from the record. I was there for 9.5 hours. At the end of the 9.5 hours, they had 4 questions they could use against me. That's not they couldn't indict me. They didn't have enough questions answered. Doesn't that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay, what state do you live in? I'm going to show you how I do everything. What state are you in?
Texas.
Okay, great. I was born in Michigan. In Michigan, we say you guys. What do you say in Texas?
We all.
Okay, what do you say?
We all.
Okay, in Michigan, you guys means I pull my pants down in public and show the world my manhood. Is that what it means?
Probably
Hello?
not.
Okay, then you lied. You perjured yourself. Now, see, do it the same way. You tell me, we say we all. What do you say in Michigan? I'm going to show you how you answer. You answer it this way every time. Ask me the same question.
We say we all in Texas. What do you use in Michigan?
Thank you for asking. I have no idea. We don't use we all. What does it mean? See, I can't answer something that I don't know. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Tomorrow in Cleveland, Texas, at 10:30 a.m., what's the temperature going to be like on Main Street downtown? Hello? Hello? See, you can't answer that. So there's no way I can answer the question unless and that's how I beat them every time. Because, remember, their words are changed. The definitions are changed. Because their definitions are changed, you're answering a question to a question you think they're asking. They're not asking that question. I guarantee you they're not asking that question.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And they could get you into a role. Is that yes or no? Yes. Yeah, when you start getting yes on this, yes on that, next thing you know, they'll hit you with a question they really want, and if you answer yes, then they got the answer they want.
Okay, now let me show you how I dealt with that. Okay, I want you to just go ahead and set me up so I know how to answer it. Set me up that way, and then ask me 3 or 4 questions. Go ahead, set me up so I know how to answer the question. Go ahead.
Kerry, do you eat eggs for breakfast every morning?
Well, I don't know what breakfast is. Because in Michigan, breakfast is worms spread on bread. See, now, you said you wanted me to answer the question. So you're going to have to ask me. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I want you to answer it yes or no so I can answer the question. See, I will listen to the way they ask it. So ask me the same question. Only this time say, I'm going to ask you 3 or 4 questions. Answer it yes or no. That's all you have to do. Now, I'll show you how you do it.
Gary, I'm going to ask you 3 or 4 questions. You're going to answer yes or no.
All right.
So, what color is the sky?
Yes or no? Because that's impossible to answer that one. Because, I want you to answer yes or no. What does the fish smell like? See, how do you answer a question, yes or no, when you ask me a color? That's what you got to listen for. All right? I want you to answer the questions, yes or no, okay? What size of boot do you wear?
You can't answer yes or no.
You can't answer that. You see, you can't answer. But that's what they did. I had them so frustrated. That's what they did. See, I have a glossary page. And my glossary page, what it does is it defines words that I need to be defined the way they need to be defined. Now I've got Black's Law Dictionary right in front of me. When they ask me a question, because in Michigan we say you guys, in Texas you say y'all. So see, you can't ask me a question and say, well, what do you think about y'all? I don't know. I've never been around that, so I don't even know what it is. See, I'm a bricklayer. So how much electricity do you think it takes to run a stove? I have no idea. I'm not an electrician. So you have to have things defined so you can go into this with an argument that you can argue, and that's what I do. I use the glossary page when I go in for my ticket. I walk in and I give it to the judge. Here's my glossary page. Here's the prosecuting attorney. You got any witnesses? Yeah, we got 5 of them. Here's 5. Here's 1 for each of them. Now, we're not going to use it. Not a problem. Now I've got them right where I want them. I gave them the glossary page. I gave them the page that's going to define what they're going to ask me. They said they're not going to use it. So they're going to ask me, what's your name? Thank you for asking. Johnny Be Good. What? Yeah, because I don't know what you're saying. In other words, you're speaking a foreign language. What I have to have is a meeting of the minds. A meeting of the minds means we're going to speak in the same language. Okay, I'm a contractor. If you're a car salesman, we can't talk in car salesman language because I won't know what you're talking about. I can't talk in contractor language because there's things that we say that you don't say. We have to have a glossary to where when you say how much does a brick weigh, that's easy for me. I know exactly how much a brick weighs to the ounce, exactly. But when I ask you how much does a car weigh, I ain't got a clue. Why? Well, what about the cars? There's big ones, SUVs, there's pickups, there's three-quarter. See, I don't know that. So you have to have that broke down so that when you walk into that situation, you're protected. The problem we're doing is we're walking in there, we're saying, okay, I'm here. I so-and-so, am a living, breathing soul, born on the planet of Earth, living in the state of, and I wear blue jeans and I got blood running in my veins. Not one of those things has protected you against him. Not one. That's your affidavit. Then you're going to go in and you're going to say, here's an affidavit of truth. I wasn't driving that car. I was driving that car. I wasn't speeding. I was speeding. The speed limit said, see, I let them tell me everything. I could care less what they did. So when I'm there, they'll ask me, okay, do you have anything to say? Absolutely. See, they'll say, how do you plead? I'm going to plead that my yes is yes and my no is no. Well, you can't plead that. Well, then what can I plead? Well, you can plead guilty, not guilty, or no low contendere. Well, I'm sorry, sir. I'm not any of those, so I guess you got the wrong guy. See, now, before I even start, we've got a zoo in there. I'm going to take 45 minutes just to swear in. It's the funnest thing that you ever did. See, we're trying to get there. We're trying to say, well, I ain't going to swear in because I'm not going to put my hand, I'm not going to raise my right hand. When the judge comes in, he said, all rise. I think it's funny. I always rise and turn my back to him. I just do that because I think it's funny, and I get a jolt out of it. See, it doesn't matter to me. All rise, so I sat up and turned my back to him. Why? You didn't say face you. You said all rise, so I rose. I didn't know. See? Then what I do, I have my glossary page. I'm going to give you my glossary. We're not using it. Well, that's why I did it that way. I didn't know. So they'll ask me a question. Can you give us your first name for the record? Yes, I'll be more than glad to. Johnny Be Good. What? I don't know. See, we have to have a common thing. Yes.
Now, you ask, well, how do you plead? Well, they're going to extract something out of you. But in a common law, if you demur, as I understand it, that really throws a monkey wrench in their work. They don't know how to deal with that.
Right. But the judge can then say, and I've seen it, give him 120 days in the hole next. And the reason for it is you're bringing up, you're in a traffic court, you're bringing up common law. See, I just don't get into that. That's not my thing. My thing is I use the statutes because we're in a statutory court, and I have never lost. I've never paid a fine. If the judge says you're guilty, you've got to pay it. I made a file. I made my own a form. I hand them a form, so here it is, fill this out, sign it, so on the way out I can pay it. They can't sign it. They can't tell me how to pay it because I've got them, no matter where I'm at in this corner, they're in a corner all the time because I play offense 100% of the time. All that demur and all that, I'm not saying not to do that. If that works for you, then by all means. I just don't use it because, see, you're trying to mix apples and oranges and make a pumpkin pie out of it. It doesn't work for me because, see, they're expecting that. Believe me, they're not expecting this. When a cop pulls up to you and you roll your window down an inch and says, see, I'm concerned about my life. What do you mean? I know, but you got a known killer. What? Yeah, he doesn't. Do you think he's going to see that coming?
Nope.
See? Well, I'll call back up. No, that's okay. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll call 8 or 10 or 12 my friends and they'll come over here. Well, I don't feel comfortable. Oh, so in other words, you want me to let another cop come here, or a policeman, or whoever come here with a known killer on his hip. I don't think that's not going to work too good. Let me bring a whole bunch of people that don't have any murderers. They're not aiding and abetting any murderers or any killers. We'll bring them over here, and we'll all get out and have a party. How does that sound? See? So it's just they don't know what to do with it. See? They just don't know what to do with it. Now, one of the problems that we're having major league with the IRS, not to switch gears on you, but Title 26 is 8.5 inches thick. Now, in Title 26, they have Title 26 and Title 27 in the same book. Now, when they say Title 26 section so-and-so, that does not mean that's Title 26. What that means is, it doesn't matter what it means. See, because what happens is, it could be Title 27, and there's a 100% chance that it is, because Title 26 has no implementing regulations. So the IRS is going to send you a letter in the mail, and they're going to say, well, we see that you didn't do X, according to 6942. Well, 6942 is outside their legal right. Since it's outside their legal right, I don't have to answer it. I don't have to break the law. That's how I answer it. Thank you for your letter. I appreciate it very, 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 very much. Buddy, and then I tell them, here's your legal right. Here's my proof it's your legal right, and I send it back. I'm done. I don't care. Because what they're doing is they're getting you to admit to something. Now, I want you to think about this. The notice of deficiency and the notice of determination has another word. The other word that it has is, I just drew a blank. Sorry about that. Help me out here.
Notice of debt?
No.
Notice of debt?
It's a notice of debt. No, it starts with it's an invoice. Is what it's a claim. So what you have is
a statutory, Gary? Statutory?
Yeah, it's statutory. Well, it doesn't matter. Statutory notice of deficiency or statutory notice of deficiency is a claim. Now, here's my question to you. You get a letter in the mail, and here's why this works so well. Once you go to the tax court through the and through the commissioner is going to say the Internal Revenue Service does not have jurisdiction because you never received a notice of deficiency or a notice of determination. Okay, that's your claim. Then they're going to come back and they're going to say, oh, by the way, you owe $150,000. Now, I want you to understand, how can you owe $150,000 when you've never got a claim? The only way you can owe $150,000 is if you got a claim. The court just said you didn't have a claim. So the IRS, they don't know what to do. They're pulling their hair out. They're saying, well, that court order you have doesn't say we can't collect. Of course it doesn't. You can collect anything you want. But how do you know I owe $150,000? How do you know it's not $500,000? How do you know it's not $1 million? How do you know it's not $1? How do you know you don't owe me? There's no claim. If there is no claim, then how can I owe anything? So, until you give me my claim, and the other years are already gone past. So, I told you I was a contractor. If I sent you a bill in the mail for $10,000 for remodeling your bathroom, would you pay it? Hello?
If I was satisfied at their work.
I haven't done it yet. We haven't agreed on anything. We don't. You mean in other words, how are you going to be satisfied with my work when you did tell me or carpet, whether you want toilets or windows, if you want a new mirror, new tub, if you want tile, or if you want linoleum. Do you want tile on the wall? Do you want it painted? Do you want it wallpapered? In other words, the claim. That would be my estimate. I got to go in and give an estimate. You've got to sign off of it and say, yeah, this is what I want. Now I can tell you, okay, to do your bathroom is $10,000. When I'm done, you're going to pay me. See, that makes sense. But the IRS said, we never gave you the estimate. We never gave you the claim. We never gave you a notice of deficiency. We never gave you a notice of determination. You owe us $55,000. Buddy, I want that fight all day long. That fight I want. And that fight I can win. I can win that fight every time. Because, how do you know I don't know you? I'm not going to go in and say, I don't owe you $50,000. Then what do you owe? See? In other words, if I don't have a notice of deficiency or notice of determination, I have no claim. They're saying that I owe them $50,000. How can I owe $50,000 without a claim? See, I'm going to write a letter back. Thank you for your letter. Very nice of you to bring this to my attention. It was not my intention to screw you out of anything. The problem is, since I never received a notice of deficiency or notice of determination, prove to me how I owe that, because I'm confused. Now, we got a whole game that I can play. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. The guy that's been talking to me, can I ask you another question?
Is anyone volunteering, or do you want me to?
Yeah, if you don't mind, that'd be perfect. Okay. Now I'm the prosecuting attorney. You're on the stand. I'm going to make a statement. We're prosecuting you. You're the dumbest, most ignorant man on the planet. Now I want you to defend that. Defend yourself. Hello?
I'd say prove it.
See how simple that is? See how simple
I cheated, though. I cheated. I heard you before.
That's okay. Well, what proof do you have that I'm the dumbest, ignorantest guy? What proof do you have? See, now we have a whole new game. Well, wait a minute, Your Honor. He made a statement. He has no proof. I want that struck from the record. Buddy, I own that room. I own the courtroom. Well, hold on a minute, Your Honor. What I meant was, I don't care what he meant, Your Honor. Strike that from the record. So the judge will say, well, strike it from the record. So now he can never come back and say that. Then I can fall on the floor. What happened? Well, I'm the dumbest man in the world. I can confess to everything. I can sit and say, well, I'm so dumb, I can't add up 2 and 2. It's 9. I'm the dumbest man on the planet. They've already struck it. They can't use it again. It's done. That's how I do everything. Now, doesn't that make sense? See, in the courtroom, I do the same thing. On a ticket, were you speeding? Well, I'm glad you asked. What proof do you have that I was speeding? Well, we have you on radar. You have me on radar? Wow, I got a bad foot. I can't get above 28. You got me for 35. I don't know how you did it. No, we had your truck. Oh, do you have proof of that? See, in other words, once you're accused of something, you do not have to defend. I'm sorry, you do not have to prove. You only have to defend. Doesn't that make sense? Now, the guy that just answered that for me, I want to thank you. I'm going to ask you one more question. Okay, I have a friend of mine, he weighs 399 pounds. Do you think that's fat?
I wouldn't. Let me think a second.
Okay, he weighs 399 pounds. Come on, guy.
Well, I'd say that's heavy, but compared to what?
Okay. Well, he's 9 foot 7 inches tall. He's like a beanpole. He wears 22-inch pants. Oh, see, you answered it without. Well, what proof do you have? See how simple it is? The answer would be, I don't know. How tall is he? Oh, he's 4'2". Yeah, he's a monster. Yeah, see? Oh no, he's 9 foot 12 inches tall. Well, guess what? That's skinny. See, every situation changes, doesn't it? And that's what I'm trying to show you here. I'm not telling you anything other than the fact that, see, we can't keep doing. Okay, what is? I'm going to give you a phrase. I want you to tell me what the definition is. I'm doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over, and I'm expecting a different result. What am I?
insane?
Okay, so if it's not working, let's double down on it. My opinion is if it's not working, let's take that off the table and try something else. I'm giving you something. Go to the tax court. Get your court order. We're 100% on them. We have other stuff. If Ed sent you the email tonight, you can see in there what we're using and how we're using it. In there, it's got. Okay. Does anybody on here know? You need the. Right. Does anybody know what income is? Can you help me with that one?
It's a gift.
All right. So if it's a gift, how do you, on the 1040 it doesn't say add lines 1 through 9 and all gifts go here. See, it doesn't say that. So the 1040 must be the wrong form. Has to be. See. So what we have to do is we have to sit back and think. We've been fighting this fight for a long time, and we're taking a lot of casualties. Let's change the fight up. Does anybody have any questions?
I have one.
Okay, it's not your turn. Well, hold on, it's not your turn. No, go ahead. I'm kidding. Go ahead. I'm kidding.
If you don't owe anything or have never gotten a response from the IRS stating that you owed any money throughout the entire duration that you've been on time with your payments and whatever has happened, can you still complete and follow the process without that?
Of course. In fact, because you do that, they didn't have jurisdiction. So where the problem comes, if you voluntarily tell them I made $100, you're going to pay tax on $100 because you told them that. But to answer your question, yes. But if you told them you made $100 and they don't have jurisdiction, there's a way you can manipulate that because they're threatening you. See, by them mailing you something, they're threatening you. Yes, but to answer your question, yes, you sure can. Because what that will do is that will protect you from today on. You don't have to worry about that. Because you if they didn't have jurisdiction, then they don't have jurisdiction. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. So my question is, what can I challenge in the beginning, in the middle, and at the end, or any time in between? Name the law. Give me the law that you can do that with.
No. Jurisdiction and fraud.
Okay. So then why don't we use that? If they don't have jurisdiction, then then what they've done is fraud. See, and fraud never runs out. So if they don't have jurisdiction, then let's go after them for fraud because they knew it. Well, we didn't know it. They were required to know it because they threatened me. So if they don't have jurisdiction, then they defrauded me and took my money. See, they took my house. So under fraud and the fraud statutes, we can go after the IRS and make them give them. You won't get your house back, chances are, because it's sold, maybe knocked down or whatever. But that's fine. They took your car. It's probably a Toyota now. That's fine too. But if they took a car that was worth $40,000, you can get that back through fraud. Why? Because they did not have jurisdiction to come after me and take my car. They didn't have it. They took my house. They took my $42 million beach house there on Galveston. Well, guess what? They didn't have the jurisdiction, so there it says it. So that's fraud. So they have ways of doing that. So what we have to do is we got to get out of the box and think differently. In other words, we're thinking the same way over and over and over. And them SOBs, they're nothing but corrupt. You're right, they are corrupt, but we're letting them be corrupt. What we're doing is we're allowing them to be corrupt because we give them too many things to be corrupt on. Now, does anybody else have, and thank you for that, does anybody else have a question on the IRS that we can answer for you here?
Carrie, it's Andrew. Oh, sorry.
What? I was just going to ask, how did you get confirmation that, what form did you use to have them send you a letter that say you did your revocation of election or something of that nature?
I have, well, you're asking me to give away something on here that, okay, I have a letter that I send in, and it's all right, I have a letter that I asked for. On that letter, it says, if you're interested in it, get a hold of Ed. Ed will give you my number. I'll email you mine that says that not only did I get it, it's been put to my account, and I'm done. I'll show you the second part of that. So, again, I have a way of doing that because I understand what they're doing. I don't tell them, okay, I am and I have to have this because the law says I can do this. What I do is I say, hey, here's what it says. I don't understand it. If I'm wrong, don't give me anything. They give it to me because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do with me, okay? That's all. They don't know what to do with me because of the way I ask the questions. The guy that asked me that, if you're swimming in the ocean and you get attacked by a great white shark, would it hurt?
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
I'm asking you, you're swimming in the ocean and you get attacked by a great white shark. Would it hurt?
It would definitely hurt me.
That's not what I asked. See, there's the other problem that we have. Did I ask you that?
Yeah, you asked. You said I was attacked by a great white shark.
Would it hurt? No, I didn't say that. I said, all right, what the answer is, hurt whom? See, I never answered the question. You said, well, it would hurt me. See, okay, then how do you know? Have you been attacked? Have you been attacked by one? Well, no. Well, it might have killed you, so you may not hurt at all. Maybe it'll put you on your knee down. It won't hurt at all. See, there's 1,000 different answers. Please don't take it the wrong way. What I'm trying to teach you here is you answer the question exactly the same way every single time. Does that make sense?
Oh, yes.
See, because the question was, okay, here we go. You get in a fight with your girlfriend, your wife, your mother, your daughter, your son, and he bites you on the arm and takes a big chunk out of your arm. I mean, it's a chunk, and you have to go have stitches, and it's bleeding like crazy. Would that hurt?
Would that hurt whom?
So simple this is. Would that hurt me? No. Would it hurt you? Yeah, I'd cry like a little girl because it would hurt me. But see, what you're doing is you're answering a question and you're giving them too much. Okay, do you file a 1040? Let me ask you this. Do you file a 1040?
I follow the instructions on the 1040.
You follow the instructions. I'm sorry, what now? Do you file a 1040? I don't know how else to make it any more clear, and I didn't understand your answer.
I follow the instructions on the 1040.
Okay, now I got you. You're done. And the reason for it is that wasn't what I asked you. See? I follow the instructions. Oh, okay. What instructions? What page? What do you put on there? How do you fill it out? How many deductions do you use? Where do you work? How much pay? See, you open yourself up to that. Now, ask me the same question.
Do you file a 1040?
No.
And why not?
Because the Paper Reduction Act, Privacy Act notice forbids me from it.
Can you prove that?
Absolutely. Would you look it up for me? I'll let you read it. Would you look it up?
I can't at the moment. I'm traveling.
Okay, no problem. Would somebody, the lady, I know you can do it for me. Would you look it up for me? And
yes.
We're going to read it. I'm going to, okay, go to the 1040 instructions, and when you get it, come back. And I'm going to show you why I tell you to answer it like that. See, if they ask you a question, they don't care what you answer. They want to hear what else you're going to say, so they got 5 or 10 more answers. See what I'm saying? See, when they ask me a question, I make them define what they're saying. See, now I want to ask you a question. Why is the 1040 called the 1040? Why isn't it called a 1039 or a 2050 or a 0904 or a 4010? Why is that? Tell me why is it called a 1040, if you don't mind me asking? The guy that's traveling.
It's not a problem for me, but I cheated. I heard you before. So. All
right. Now,
if you want me to answer it, I will. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to get somebody else to answer it because I thought it's cool. Does anybody know what it is other than that guy? I picked the wrong guy, but that's okay. Can somebody on here tell me why it's called a 1040? Why isn't it called a 1039? Yeah, you can go ahead and answer it for us because nobody else is volunteering for it, so go ahead if you don't mind.
It's 1040 because it was from the Civil War. This is what you said earlier. The 10-year, 40-year bond Abe Lincoln took out from the Civil War, I believe.
All right, so he got Civil War bonds, and they were called 1040 bonds, 10-year 40. So it's a 1040 so every time you fill out a 1040, the money goes back to England. It doesn't go to the government. If you want to see the document that says the government doesn't get one dime of the 1040 money, I'll send it to you. I have it. So if that's the case, why is our taxes due? Why is the taxes due April the 15th? Because in today's technology, you can walk up and hit enter and have your taxes done January at January the 1st at midnight. In other words, 1 minute past midnight, you can hit the button because all this software, you got accountants that can put it in, hit it. Why is it due April 15th and it's not due April the 1st? Why isn't it due May the 19th? Why isn't it due June the 1st? Why April the 15th? Can you tell me that one? See, this kind of stuff. This is what I live for. I love it. Does anybody want to try it? To tell me what it is? Well, I'll tell you why then, since you don't want to answer. Abraham Lincoln was shot April the 14th and died at 3 o'clock in the morning on April the 15th. That's a coincidence that the 1040 and April. That's just a coincidence to me. This is the stuff that I think is fascinating. How did all this go? But I found the document that says every dime that's collected does not go to the federal government, not one dime. So if you pay $100 in federal income taxes, zero, not one penny goes to the federal government. Where does it go then?
I think it's going to the King of England, or that's where it originally
Ain't that something? Well, the 1040 bonds, we're still paying the interest on them. The interest was at such a point that the interest will never be paid. It will never be paid. So, because of the rule, yes.
I think that was Ronald Reagan had the Grace Commission.
That's correct. Yep. That is correct. In the Grace Commission, it says on page 16 of the one that I have, says not one pence, I think he says 1 nickel, not 1 nickel goes to the federal government when you fill out a tax return. So, the lady that was looking that up for me, did you find it, the 1040 instructions?
Yes, okay. I did.
Okay, now, would you go to page, you know where it's at, don't you?
Yes, I'm already there.
Okay, now, at the very top of that page, would you read the heading on that page?
Disclosure, Privacy Act, and Paperwork Reduction Act Notice.
Stop right there. So now we're going to read the Internal Revenue Service's own Paper Reduction Act and Privacy Act Notice. This is coming from them. Now, the left column, third paragraph. Read it slow so I can stop you and we can define what they're saying. Go ahead and read it now.
Our legal right.
Stop for me. Who's our?
The IRS.
Okay, so the IRS's legal right. So if they have a legal right, what else do they have?
An illegal right.
Okay, so the IRS's legal right. Now go ahead and finish that.
The IRS's legal right to ask for information is Internal Revenue Code sections 6001, 6011, and 6012A, and their regulations.
Now, I want you to listen to this. The 1040, I'm sorry, the Title 26 is over 10,000 pages. It's 8.5 inches thick. Out of the 10,000 pages, they only have 3 sections that are legal. So what does that make the other 7,999 pages? What does that make those?
Illegal.
They're illegal. So the IRS has no legal right unless it's in those 3 sections. Now let's finish up what it says.
They say.
Stop right there. Now who's they? Hold on. Who's they?
The Internal Revenue Code section?
No, the Internal Revenue Code section. So 6001, 6011, 6012A, and the regulations say that's the only legal right they have. And here's what they say. Go ahead.
You must file a return or statement.
Stop right there. That's all. Okay, just hold on. The guy that I talked to earlier, and I asked you if you filed a 1040, and you said, well, whatever. And then I said no, and I said, well, I do it because the IRS Paper Reduction Act, Privacy Act notice forbids me from. Will you come back on? Will you hit *6?
Yes, I'm here.
Well, okay, so what do I have to file? There's no options. What do I have to file?
You can either file a 1040 form or you can file a statement.
No, sir. Isn't that funny? It didn't say 1040 form, sir.
Oh, you're right.
Did you read it again? What
they
did it say?
Say that you must file a return or statement.
So what must you file?
A return or statement.
Okay, now, a CT1 is a return. A 941, a 942, a 1099, OID, a 1041. I think there's 25 different returns. It doesn't say 1040. So for them to tell me that I have to file a 1040, that would be illegal. It says I have to file a return or a statement. I file a statement every single year. Now, doesn't that make sense? I'm doing what they say. That's all I do. I don't get outside the box. What I'm doing is I'm trying my best to do what it says. Now, we just finish that last little bit there.
You must file a return or statement with us for any tax you are liable for.
Okay, stop there. That's good enough. Now, does anybody on here know what the word file means?
Yeah.
See? Somebody's laughing, so you must have read it, have you?
Put it in your file cabinet.
There you go. That's exactly what it means. So, do I file a 1040? No. Why? Because the Paper Reduction Act, Privacy Act notice that the Internal Revenue Service publishes in their own publication forbids me from it. What do you mean it forbids you? It doesn't say 1040, it says return or statement. So why don't you do a 4822? That forbids me from doing that one too. See, in other words, a return or statement. Well, okay, then I'll do a return. If I could tell you 3 returns that you could file, one of them you owe them $10,000, one of them they owe you $10,000, and the third one they owe you $50,000. Which one would you fill out?
None of them.
Well, one of them that you owe them $10,000, one of them they owe you $10,000, and one of them they owe you $50,000. You wouldn't fill out any of them?
No, I send a statement saying they owe me money.
See? Okay. That's fine. But do you see? Now she's met everything. What you have to understand is, let's go back to their language. Or means something. For those of you that remember Bill Clinton, he said, well, I'm not so sure I'm in trouble because it depends on what the word is. Look up is in Black's Law Dictionary. Then you'll understand. See, all of this is done because we've allowed it because they're talking to us in perfect English. And we don't understand what they're saying, see? Does that make sense to you? Go back to that guy. Can I ask you a question? The guy that I asked about the 1040s. Can you come back on for me?
As long as you're going to be nice.
I promise I'll try. Do you file a 1040?
No, I do not.
Why?
I file a statement.
Wait a minute, that's not what you said earlier.
Well.
See, do you see? Wait a minute. So now you changed your story. Were you lying then or are you lying now?
I wasn't lying either time. I just said it. I'm stopping there.
I understand. Okay, but do you see how simple this becomes?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, you got a heck of a way of saying stuff. Hard to keep up.
Well, I'm sorry about that. Okay. Now.
No, that's no problem. No problem. They're doing.
Okay, I'm gonna give you one more example. I want you to answer me, if you will. I went to Home Depot and I bought, because I'm a contractor, I bought a $500 tape measure. Couldn't believe it, man. This thing is beautiful. It's 3 inches wide. It's metal. It's got a whistle on it. It's got a light. It's got a compass, and it's got a level, and it's got a golf tee on it. I pulled it out to do my first measurement, and it sheared off. It looks like I cut it with a pair of scissors. It sheared off exactly at 12 inches. Exactly at 12 inches. So I threw the big part away. Now I got a tape that's 12 inches. What do I have?
1 foot tape.
From what you... Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, that's a 1 foot tape. Okay. Now that you told me a 1 foot tape, now, ma'am, do you have any children?
No.
Do you know anybody that does?
Yes.
When their children was born, the day they were born, what did they have at the end of their ankle?
A foot.
Hello? Oh, so in other words, they were gigantic children, weren't they? What are you laughing about? You said it. Do you see what happened? Do you see what happened?
Yeah.
All you would have had to do, see, you could have said, well, 24 half inches. See, what happens is that's how they're getting us. Do you follow 1040?
Leading the witness.
They can't make you witness again. Do you follow 1040? Right. Do you follow 1040? No, I don't, because there's no law that says I have to. Now, I'm going to show you how powerful 6001, 6011, and 6012A is. That's the only legal right. Ma'am, would you look up 6012 for me? Title 26, 6012, and only read the heading. I want you to understand what they've done to us. I'm trying my best. We got a spool of wire here, or a spool of string, and we're trying to unravel it. The more we unravel, the more money we keep. The more money we unravel, the more things you get to do, the better retirement you have, the better food you get to eat. Would you read that for me?
6012A?
Just 6012, just the heading.
Okay, I've got to search for it. Hang on. Okay, persons required to make returns of income.
Okay, now, I want you to say that again. It broke up just a little. Read that again.
Persons required to make returns of income.
Okay, it's persons required to make returns of income. Now, is anybody on the call think that would be important to know if that would be you or not?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, 5 minutes, Kerry.
Thank you. All right. Have you ever read? What?
It's the definition of person. Person can mean a corporation.
Well, wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. You don't know if it's a person or not. Well, yes, it is a person, but you don't know if you're that person. See? In other words, because, see, now we got stuff we can do. Persons required to make to file a return of income. There's several things that we have to know. One, we have to know what income is. Two, we have to know what are we filing. We're filing a return. Well, it doesn't say 1040. See, we got to know what kind of income is it. BATF? Is it? See, is it? What is it? See, if you're a prostitute, does that include? Is she include? See, there's all these possibilities, and it tells you right there. If you read it, it will tell you in black and white if you're one of the persons liable. So that's why it says under the Paper Reduction Act, Privacy Act notice, you must file a return or a statement. So the statement would be, I'm not one of them under 6012A, persons liable to file a return of income. That would be a perfect statement. See, I type on a piece of paper, eat shit and die, and I sign it, and I put it in my file. So that's what I do. But there's a perfect example of a statement you could use. But you got to understand, it might say, Ed, you have to. It might have Ed's name in there. See? Well, if that's the case, anybody who has the name spelled ED has to do it. Oh, boy. So, see? So what we have to do is we have to know what this stuff says. That's Title 26. Now, I went to a meeting with a guy, and the IRS agent was so agitated, so angry with me, he told the judge, Your Honor, he cannot use Title 26. It has no legal effect. I almost fell down. The judge says, do you know what you just said? He said, I can't deal with this guy anymore. I can't deal with him anymore. He's unreasonable. So the IRS agent said Title 26, I couldn't use it because it doesn't have any legal effect. Now I want you to understand why I think this works. See, I think it works because I have a IRS agent telling me that Title 26 has no legal effect. We had a lady that went to talk to him 2 days ago that owed $55,000 in penalties and interest, and because of the court order, the judge says not only do you have no jurisdiction, but she doesn't owe the money. It's gone. So I know for a fact that what we're doing, the way we're doing it, it works. So I think we're about out of time. I'll give one more question. If you ask, I'll give you one more question. Go ahead and ask it, and we'll answer it the best we can, and then we'll shut down for the night. All right. I'll ask one then, since you won't. The guy that told me he doesn't file, now he does, and then he doesn't. Now he may not. Now he does. Will you come on the line so I can ask you a question?
Yes, I'm here.
Did that help you at all?
Oh, man. Wonderful. Very enlightening.
Okay. So it's not about what you do or don't know. It's what they can and can't say. It's never about me. Okay?
It's about avoiding the traps. About avoiding the traps you're setting. It's kind of what I'm getting out of it.
Well, that's basically what it is. Yes, that's right. See, if I eat vegetarian, wouldn't I be a vegetarian?
Well, you say you do, so how can I get wrong by agreeing with you? You're the one defining it.
See? Okay, now, let me use one more example. Your wife, girlfriend, daughter, whatever, is deathly allergic to seafood. If she eats seafood, she would die. Could your daughter, girlfriend, mother, whatever, could she eat shrimp and not die?
If she eats shrimp, you'd have to define seafood for me. And
see how simple that is? Okay, what does S-E-E spell?
Visual C.
Well, I didn't say what visual. All I said was seafood. So, let her close her eyes and eat all the shrimp she wants. That's what I bring to the party. That's what I do to them. In other words, can you eat a ribeye? Yeah. Can you eat seafood? No. Well, then close your eyes, you dumb doofus. Close your eye, S-E-E. Well, I thought you meant, I don't care what you thought. That's how we get into trouble right there. See, when you said define C, that got me into trouble because now I'm trying to hide what I'm doing. You caught me. So I hope I was of help tonight. I hope somebody got something out of it tonight, because I appreciate you being here.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate you being here. It helped, we appreciate it. Now, let me tell you what we have to do. If anybody has any questions, if you got the email on the bottom, there's an email that says REPTX 777 at att.net. Send your question to him and help us help you by sending your phone number. We'll get Ed will get a question. I want to talk to Carrie. Well, there's no phone number. If you want to talk to me, I'll call you back. But email Ed. Ed will answer what he can, send what he can, and then whatever it is, if you want to talk to me, tell him, and he'll get it to me, and I'll call you. But we need your phone number. And